Presentation to help students who are having problems with mathematics. Most students who have problems with mathematics don't know why they are having a problem. The main reason is that they don't know the basics, number one, and then number two, they do not practice enough. They must remember that practice makes perfect. You've got to try examples over and over. You've got to test yourself till you're getting 100% on the basics. Then you know you're on your way to success. So if you have any fears or any worries about maths, just sit back, relax, and listen carefully to what we have to say. What we're going to do first is take you through your rights. If you want to do well in maths, you need to know your rights. So your first right is, you must say, I'm good and I can do it. You must say, I am good and I can do it. That is the biggest secret. The moment you are confident, the moment you are positive, you can sail away. Today's presentation is based on this book called Maths Made Easy, The Basics. And if you want to know more about what your rights are, please read on page 4, Mathematics Rights. I'm now going to start with the most basic of the lessons that we have to know if we want to do well in maths, and that is integers. So if you're following this video, we are now on page 5. And we are studying a section called integers. So firstly, you must be able to explain what is integers in your own words. Integers are positive numbers. For example, 5. Now 5 can be written like that, or 5 can be written with a small plus on the top, or 5 can be written with a big plus in front of it, or 5 can be written inside a bracket like that. So 5 can be written in many ways. So integers are positive numbers, 0, and negative numbers. For example, negative 3 can be written like that, negative 3 can be written like that, with the negative in the middle, or it might be written with a negative sign and inside the bracket. So integers are positive numbers, 0, and negative numbers. Now integers are represented on a number line. On a number line, in the middle you have 0. On the right hand side you have the positive numbers, 1, 2, 3. Some books will leave out the plus signs. It is allowed in maths to leave out the plus sign. But the minus signs cannot be left out. So you'll find a number line drawn like this on page 5 of your book. When a number line is drawn like this, we say we have drawn it horizontally. Now that same number line can be drawn in another way. Once again, 0 in the middle. Now if it's drawn like this, then we're saying that we are drawing the line vertically. Now if it is drawn vertically, then remember that you got your 0 in the middle, then your positive numbers are on top. So there's your 1, there's your 2, there's your 3. Now this time I didn't write the plus signs, because in maths, plus signs are understood. Understood means it is there, but it is not written. Some things are understood in maths. For example, plus signs are understood. So it is understood there is a plus sign here, there's a plus sign here, and there is a plus sign here. So I can write it like this, or I can write it like that. Then below the 0, we have the negative numbers. -1, -2, -3. Now remember, the negative signs must be shown. You must show the negative signs. You can leave out the positive signs, but you cannot leave out the negative signs. So, numbers can be shown on a number line like that, or like this. Now, integers can also be shown in a set. So now I'm going to show you how to write integers in a set. And we are still on page 5 of your guide. Now the small letter for integers is called z. So we say z is equal to, and then we put down 3 little dots here. And then we write down the negative numbers, -3, -2, -1. Then we write down 0. Then we write down 1, and then 2, and then 3. I'll just put the plus signs just to make it clear. And 3 dots in the end there, and we close up. Now, what these 3 dots are saying is that these numbers continue. These dots are saying that the numbers continue. 3, -3, -4, -5, etc. to infinity. 3, 4, 5, etc. to infinity. Infinity means till the last number. Obviously, you can't find the last numbers over here, so you'll just keep counting. Alright, so integers can be represented in a set or on a number line like that, or on a number line like that. Now stop the video, close your book, take a page and try to show integers in a set and on a number line. So I hope you wrote the set correctly and drew the number lines correctly. Now the next important thing about integers is that integers are whole numbers. They are whole numbers. By this we mean that integers are 1, 2, 3. There's no integer in between here. -1, -2, -3. There's no numbers in between. So integers are not fractions. Integers are not fractions. Integers are only whole numbers. Right? So we got that, and let's move on. Right, so now the first thing we have to do is we have to learn to add integers. Now remember that in this presentation, we are assuming that your teachers, your facilitators have given you all the background, and we are merely showing you the basics. They've told you all the reasons why things are done differently, or why things are written in a certain way. We are only giving you the basics. Now if you want to add integers, there's basically 3 possibilities. The first possibility is that you're going to add a negative number like -5 to a positive number like 9. So, if you're adding these 2 numbers, you've got to have some kind of understanding in your mind. Now you've got to understand that a negative number is like owing. So -5 means owing 5. That's what it means. And 9 means you have 9. So all positive numbers will be have, all negative numbers will be owe. So -5 plus 9 means, think about it like money. It's like I owe 5 rand, but I have 9 rand. So if I owe 5 rand and I have 9 rand, after I pay my account, what will happen? I will still have 4 rand. Have means plus, so I have 4 rand, so the answer will be plus 4. Okay? Let's take another example. The first example that's done in your guide on page 6 is 5 plus -3. This means we have 5 and we owe 3. If it was money, if I have 5 rand and I owe 3 rand, I will end up having 2 rand. Having 2 rand means plus 2. Now, for those of you who are very lazy and would not learn these rules, you can get all these answers on a scientific calculator. But remember, if you want to succeed in maths, you've got to know these rules and you've got to be able to apply them. So we go back to the first example in your book on page 6. It says 5 plus -3. So we said we have 5, we owe 3, and if this was money, what would happen? I got 5 rand, I owe 3 rand, I'll still have 2 rand, therefore the final answer is 2. We go to the next example in your book, which is -3 plus -7. So what does this mean? I owe 3 rand and I owe 7 rand. That means altogether I owe 10 rand. I owe 10 rand. So it's -10. The next example. -5 plus 2. What does this mean? It means I owe 5 rand, I have only 2 rands, therefore in the end I will still be owing 3 rands. So it will be owe 3 minus 3. Your next example. You can add more than 2 numbers at a time. So if you look at this example, we are adding a number of integers together. There are many ways to do this example, but one of the best ways will be to write the negative numbers next to one another first. See, it's always nice to do your work step by step. So I'm writing the negative numbers next to one another, then I'm writing the positive numbers next to one another. Now you'll see the 5 haven't got a plus sign in front of it, but the 7 got. But it is understood in maths that there is a plus sign over here. Then, in maths, always try to use colors to help you. So I'm going to add this 2 up together. And then I'm going to add those 2 up together. So here I'm owing 3 and I'm owing 10. So altogether I'm owing 13. Here I have 5 and I have 7, therefore altogether I have 12. Now, in this last step, I am owing 13, but I got 12. So I will end up owing 1. Now, these things can also be done on the number line, but remember, when you're working at high speed, you are not going to be drawing number lines all the time. You'll be able to quickly work out with have and O, have and O, have and O. You will not have time to draw number lines. So therefore, that brings us to the end of addition. Now go to your book, study example 5, and then do the exercise on page 7 from numbers 1 to 14, and you should be able to get all correct. Hope you have completed exercise 1 from page 7, marked your work. If you got them all right, it's good. If you didn't get them all right, no problem. You just go and redo the examples and try them again. Now we're moving on to page 8, and we're going to deal with subtraction. So, let's take an example like number 1, 7 minus 2. Now this tells us to subtract. Now you see, you've got to be careful. This sign is telling you subtract. This one. And this one is telling you that the number is negative. So you've got to be clear, you see. So that's what it is telling you. It's telling you that this is a subtraction sign. And this is a sign telling you that the number itself is negative. Alright, so now you want to learn the steps on how to do subtraction. Well, the question is 7 subtract minus 2. Well, the first step is rewrite the 7 exactly like that. Whatever the first number is, rewrite it just like that. So there's your 7. Next step, change the minus to plus. Step 2, change the minus to plus. And then change the sign of the number that's after that. So if this is minus 2, I have to change it to plus 2. So let's go over the 3 steps again. Step 1, write the first number just like that. So we did it. Step 2, change the minus into a plus. Step 3, whatever the number is after that, rewrite it with its opposite sign. This was minus, therefore write it with plus. Now the subtraction example has become an addition example. So it is 7 plus 2, and the answer is 9. That finishes the first example. Let's do another example. Example 2 in your book is set like this. Minus 10, minus 4, and you are instructed to subtract these numbers. You are told subtract these numbers. So the number is minus 10 and the number is minus 4. So you subtracting minus 4 from minus 10. So you got to follow the steps. Step 1, the first number is written as it is, so that's not a problem. Now, you see this, the subtraction sign is not here, like that. The subtraction sign is not here. So better I write the subtraction sign here. So there's my subtraction sign. That is negative 10. That is negative 4. So rule 1 says, write the first number as it is. So there's minus 10. I'm writing it down here. Then it says, change the subtraction sign to a plus sign. So there's subtraction change to plus. Then it says, change the second number to opposite sign. So minus 4 will become plus 4. So now it becomes an addition example. You are adding minus 10 and plus 4. So you use your addition rules. You owing 10, you got 4. So what will happen? You will end up owing 6. Remember, always think about it like money. You owing 10 rands, you got 4 rands. After you paid your account, what will happen? You will be owing 6 rands. So in subtraction, we have basically 3 steps. Now the steps are written down for you in your guide, and what you need to do now is to turn over the page, go to page 9 and try exercise 2 and get them all correct. And enjoy it. You have tried exercise 2 and got them all right. If you didn't get them all right, not a problem. Read the instructions again, follow the examples, retry the exercise till you get 10 out of 10. Now we're moving on to page 10 and we're going to do multiplication and division. So I will first do multiplication. Now with multiplication, there is 4 possibilities. You can have a positive number times a positive number, and that answer will be a positive answer. You can have a positive number times a negative number, and that result will be negative. You can have a negative number times a positive number, and that will be negative. And finally, you can have a negative times a negative, and that will be positive. Now let's do some examples of this. So an example of this will be positive 5 times positive 3. So the answer will be positive 15, because a positive times a positive is positive. Now the O and have doesn't work in this section. There's a brand new set of rules here, and this is a brand new set of rules for multiplication. It also works for division. Same rules work for division. Right? So plus times plus is plus. The next example. Plus 7 times minus 2. Well, a plus times a minus is minus, therefore it will be minus. A plus times a minus will be minus. 7 2s, 14. Next example. A minus times a plus is a minus. Let's do the example. Minus 3 times plus 2. Now a minus times a plus is a minus. A minus times a plus is a minus. So minus times plus is minus. 3 times 2, 6. And finally, a minus times a minus gives you plus. So example, minus 2 times minus 3. Well, a minus times a minus is plus. Therefore, minus times minus will be plus. 2 times 3 will be 6. So that is how we do multiplication. Now another very important thing about multiplication, you have to know that for multiplication it could be times, or it could be an asterisk, or if the numbers are written in brackets like this, it means multiply, or if it is 4 dot 2, it also means multiply. So there are many ways for people to tell you what is multiplication. It could be 3 times 2 is multiply. 3 asterisk 2 is multiply, 3 times 2. Bracket 3, bracket 2 means 3 multiplied by 2. 3 dot 2, not comma, dot. 3 dot 2. All this is saying 3 times 2. Now, you got no choice. You have to know these rules. If you don't know these rules, you'll be in big trouble. So, you can follow the rest of the examples now on page 10 of your book and see how the rule is applied. I'm going to help you through those rules. Now, at the back of our mind, we must know the rules. We know that a plus times a plus is a plus. A plus times a minus is a minus. A minus times a plus is a minus. And a minus times a minus is a plus. You have to know these rules in your head. You have to know it. So if you take number 1, in your book on page 10, you got 3 asterisk 4. So this is a plus times a plus. Therefore it will be plus 3 fours, 12. If you take example 2, it is minus 2 times minus 3. So this rule applies. Minus times minus is plus. Minus times minus is plus. 2 3s, 6. Then example 3, you got 4 times minus 2. Well, it's a plus times a minus. It's a plus times a minus, which will give you minus 4 times 2, 8. Number 4, you got minus 2 asterisk 3. Well, an asterisk means you must multiply. So that's a minus. Now here, no sign is written here. No sign is written. Well, it is understood to be plus. In maths, if no sign is written, the sign is understood to be plus. So minus times plus is minus. Minus times plus is minus. 2 times 3 is 6. So that's how we do the multiplication. Now, the same rules apply for division. So that's why we're going to continue by just saying that we can learn division now one time. So if I had to divide, the same rules apply. So if I had minus 9 divided by 3. Now remember, this sign is a division sign. So minus 9 divided by 3 means minus divided by plus. Minus divided by plus. Same rules work. Now these rules work. Now just make your head a little better now. Same rules work for multiplication and division. Alright, so we were here. Now let's understand this example carefully. What this example is saying, it is saying minus 9 divided by plus 3. See, you got to understand that this means divide. This 3 has got no sign on it. Well, it is understood to be a plus if it doesn't have a sign. So now it's minus divided by plus. The same rules apply. A minus divided by a plus will be a minus. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now you can test all these answers by using a scientific calculator. Number 6. You got minus 8 divided by minus 2. If I rewrite this, it's minus 8 divided by minus 2. You don't have to rewrite it. I'm only rewriting it to make it clear to you. Now, minus divided by minus is the same as this. Minus divided by minus. Same rules apply. So, minus divided by minus is plus. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So, let's move on. Well, the last one, second last one, number 7. 10 divided by 5. Well, you know this from primary school days. It is 2, not much to talk about. Sorry, the question is 10 divided by 2, and the answer is 5. Right. And then finally, in the last example, right, I'm going to start the last example right on top.
Yeah.
Now the last example on page 10 says 3 bracket minus 4 bracket minus 3 bracket minus 2 bracket. So when a student looks at this, he gets a little bit shocked. Well, firstly, it's all brackets. That means we are multiplying. Now when you multiply or when you divide, you always multiply or divide two numbers at a time. So I'm going to multiply these two numbers first, and then I'm going to multiply those two numbers, and I will do my work step by step. So if I multiply these two numbers, a plus times a minus is a minus, 3 times 4 is 12, times, then I'm multiplying these two numbers, minus 3 times minus 2, a minus times a minus is a plus, 3 times 2 is 6. So from 4 numbers it comes down to 2 numbers now. Now it's very clear, I'm multiplying a minus by a plus. A minus times a plus is a minus, 12 times 6 is 72. So there's your final answer. So what we are saying is that when you got a number of numbers like this, multiply them 2 numbers at a time, because the rule works on 2 numbers at a time. So multiply this 2, write the answer down. Multiply those 2, write the answer down. Then multiply these 2 and write the answer down. Alright, so now you can enjoy yourself doing exercise 3, which is on page 11. Complete that exercise and you should be able to get 15 out of 15. Remember, if you don't score 15 out of 15, read the examples again, study the examples, try them again, and redo the exercise till you can score 15 out of 15. Because only when you get 15 out of 15 do you know your basics. If you don't get 15 out of 15, you don't know your basics. Enjoy the exercise. Alright, so I hope you did exercise 3 and you got 15 out of 15. Now, before you do exercise 4, you need to be very clear in your mind what is happening. So there is your mind. So what have we done? We have done addition. When it comes to addition, what do? You think about O and you think about have. Then we did subtraction. When it came to subtraction, you had step 1, step 2, step 3. When it came to multiplication and division, you have to know your rules, that a plus times a plus is a plus, that a plus times a minus is a minus. Make place in your head now. And then you have to know that a minus times a plus is a minus, and a minus times a minus is a plus. Now, if before you do exercise 4, all this must be very, very clear in your mind. So when it came to subtraction, what was the rule? The rule was write the first number as is. In other words, you don't change the first number. Then it was change the minus to plus. Then it was change the sign of the second number. Now, before you try exercise 4, you've got to be very, very clear about this. It must be clear in your mind and all these things must be like that. You should also make a little chart like this, stick it up near your study area, and you can have a look at it. Don't try to by heart this. Just keep looking at it and you'll see automatically you will know it. By doing a number of examples, all these things will become second nature to you. You'll just know it like that. Okay, so when you're doing exercise 4, you'll see that the first example, number 1, is an addition example. Therefore, I must use those rules. When you look at number 2, you'll see that it is a subtraction example. Therefore, in your mind now, you'll have to switch. You'll have to switch from there, you'll have to start thinking about these rules. Then when you look at number 3, you'll see it's a multiplication example. So it is a mixed exercise. So in number 3, you're multiplying, therefore these rules work. Then when you go to number 4 is also multiplication. Number 4 is also multiplication, so the same rules work. So what we're saying is, read the question, see whether you're adding, subtracting, multiplying or dividing. For example, number 7, number 7 is a division example. So you know that, well, number 7, I'm dividing, therefore I have to use these rules. So in exercise 4, be careful. You may have to use the addition rule, you may have to use the subtraction rule, you may have to use the multiplication rule, you may have to use the division rule. So if you look at number 1, it is addition, you'll use O and have. If you look at number 2, it is subtraction, so you'll go use these 3 steps here to get the answer. If you look at number 3, it is a multiplication example, then you're going to use these 4 rules to get the answer. Alright, so now you can try exercise 4. Some examples are done there to explain things to you, and enjoy doing exercise 4 and getting them all right. We're now looking at exercise 4 on page 12, and we're going to go through the exercise and see how each example is done. For example, number 1 was 5 plus minus 7. So you will say, I have 5, I owe minus 2, therefore I will end up owing, so it will be minus, and I'll owe 2. 5 minus 7. Now when you read this question, you have to realize that it is a subtraction example. Therefore, I must now remember the subtraction rules. And the subtraction rule tells me, write the first number down just like that. So that's 5. Change the minus to a plus. And then take the second number and change it to its opposite sign. So it will become plus 7. So now this subtraction example has become an addition example, and we have 5 plus 7, which is 12. Number 3, 5 bracket minus 7 bracket. So when you read this question, you can see there's no addition sign in between, no subtraction sign. Therefore, this one is a multiplication. 2 brackets like this means we must multiply. So, this is a plus. If no sign is written, it is plus. So, plus times minus is minus. 5 times 7, 35. Now, watch these 3 examples. The numbers are exactly the same, but the operations are totally different. This is an addition example. This is a subtraction example. This is a multiplication